Maine. Top 4 competitor from the Invitational. He's got a top 8 this season as well. He's on Obzon Company. That's the deck he top 8'd the Envy with. Playing against Green-Red Tron in the hands of John Taylor. This is going to be a tough one for him as he's down a game.
This is a match we got to watch a couple times in Milwaukee. Tron versus Obzon Company, where it seems like Obzon Company continuously gets on the table and close, and then Tron just kills everything again.
Yeah, it's actually, at first I thought it was a really bad matchup, but there's a lot more play in the Obzon Company side than we would think at first. We did see, you know, at the end of that finals, Lisette with Tron losing the finals.
And Andrew Maine has some interesting sideboard cards. He has 2 copies of Distended Mindbender in the sideboard, which is pretty cool. I like Distended Mindbender in a Kitchen Finks deck. That's pretty awesome. And this seems like a great matchup for it.
The one of Selfless Spirit, the play for Andrew Maine. Well, that's great. Yeah, Mindbender should be excellent against Tron. Well, unless he just Trons you.
Yeah, don't get Troned.
Don't get... I believe that Milwaukee was the event where Tron became the dreaded Tron. Has not relinquished the name just yet.
Slightly less dreaded. In a world
not if you're a company player. It's still
in a world of dredge, you know, it's getting harder to call Tron the villain. I still hate him, but
yeah. Ancient Stirrings here from Taylor. He's got options.
Ancient Stirrings is so powerful.
It is the best cantrip left in Modern by a lot.
Yeah, the margin is not close.
You look at how well this card plays in Bant Eldrazi, and it's just unfair. It's very in Tron the same way.
Yep. The selection is just so powerful.
So he'll take Chromatic Star. So John's board, he has a Grove of the Burn Willows and 1 Tron piece. It's the tower. We go to turn 3. No damage yet on Taylor. What we did see in these games, if you haven't seen the matchup a lot, is that the Obzon player very rarely wins with damage. It is almost always through the combo.
Yep. Tron, one of few decks that can deal with infinite life by using Karn Ultimate to reset. Though the goal for the Obzon Company deck is to murderous redcap the Tron player to death.
So Eternal Witness is the play from Andrew Maine on turn 3. He gets back a Windswept Heath. Hits Taylor down to 18.
This would suggest to me that Maine has Collected Company in hand and no 4th land naturally. Like exactly those 2 things.
Even so, I mean, yeah, and even if he does have the 4th land, if this was his only 3-drop, he'd probably still play it.
Just to get some damage on the board, sure.
Yeah. Sylvan Scrying from John Taylor.
You can never really play into Pyroclasm with a Selva Spirit on this table.
Yeah.
You're just protected.
He will go ahead and get the Power Plant, so 2nd Tron piece. Remember, he does have a star that he can play off it. He found it last turn on Ancient Stirrings.
Yep.
So Tron piece 2 now at the ready. The big card that the company player has to be scared of is Ugin. If John can make that one, it's usually lights out.
Ugin is quite the beating.
So here's the Chromatic Star from Taylor.
That is one that Selfless Spirit will not protect you from.
Draw here from Andrew Maine. Swings for 4, puts Taylor down to 14.
The old Eternal Witness beatdown deck.
And here's land 4. It's a fetch land. What Andrew Maine can do to compete with Ugin is the card Collected Company. He can let his whole board get swept, end step Collected Company, attack the Ugin, hopefully all the way down to 0.
Yep.
It's not a given, though. His creatures are really...
You're also still
utility.
crossing your fingers for no backup Ugin.
Yeah. 2 Ugins in John Taylor's list. So Andrew Maine gets Godless Shrine. He'll shock for it. Looks like a 4-drop here main phase. It's going to be one of those 2 sideboard Distended Mindbenders. So this was not on my radar out of Eldritch Moon.
Yeah, this is pretty awesome seeing this card in Modern.
All right, this is the 5/5. You can emerge it for 7 mana, double black. So the 3 from the Eternal Witness and the 4 lands in play is just right. When he casts the card, he looks at John Taylor's hand, picks a non-land card with mana cost 3 or less, and one with 4 or greater, and can take both of them. We see in Taylor's hand a Chromatic Sphere, a Sylvan Scrying, looks like he's got an Ulamog, and a Pyroclasm. This is a fantastic Mindbender. He gets the Ulamog out of Taylor's hand and the Sylvan Scrying, so he takes him off Tron and off the finisher.
Yep, the Ulamog was a forced decision, but if you're Andrew, you're very happy the decision was forced and there's not just a second haymaker.
You took his Tron piece and his finisher. And got a 5/5 on top of it. This is excellent from me.
Yep, Pyroclasm is fine leaving, so that's not going to kill Mindbender. And John's down to 14, and the Mindbender's a 5/5.
So he will have to reload. He needs to first find Tron, then find another haymaker. Now start by cracking Star. Tron, though, one of the most resilient decks in Modern. It will not take him long to reassemble Tron.
Yeah. He's got to do it before he dies, though. Doesn't have much time.
Yeah, 7 power in play for Andrew. That is a 2-turn clock.
Yep.
So John will play the sphere that was in his hand.
It doesn't make much difference if Taylor casts Pyroclasm this turn or waits till next turn. It's only going to get Selfless Spirit no matter what. So I like cracking the Star, seeing if there's maybe a Sylvan Scrying on top, and if there's not, just going for Pyroclasm.
So he will go ahead and use the Chromatic Sphere, but same idea. Draws a card, has 1 mana floating. Has he found another way to find the mine? He doesn't, so he casts Pyroclasm. I like that Andrew makes his guys indestructible in response.
Strong play. I like it.
It's far better than letting the Spirit die. John plays another tower. So 3 drawn pieces, but it's double tower and power plant.
Andrew just picked up a Collected Company.
Yeah. Noble Hierarch. A swing with the Mindbender puts Taylor down to 9. And you should be concerned if you're Taylor here. Andrew could have activated Township or done something like that, but he just played Hierarch.
Yep. Same additional damage output on that turn.
Yeah. So Taylor's at 8. And, yeah, likely dead on the following turn.
Yep. Gotta make something happen here, and he's still off a Tron. Without Tron, dealing with a 5/5, not easy. Taylor's list does have 4 Lightning Bolts. Doesn't look like there's any in his hand. Of course, he would need 2 to deal with the Mindbender anyway.
So here's the Expedition map from John Taylor. He has actually reassembled most of what he needs. He has Karn in his hand. He's got Tron coming up the following turn. But it's not going to be enough. Andrew's going to end-step Collected Company, and a big miss would have to happen here for him not to win.
Well, it has to actually not even be this Birds of Paradise, because the Township plus 3 creatures would already be lethal.
Well, Eternal Witness plus Anafenza is definitely going to do it.
Yep.
And we're on to game 3 here. Andrew Maine evens up the match against John Taylor's green-red Tron deck, really on the back of Distended Mindbender.
That card looked great. Probably because that card is great, but man.
Wow.
We might be seeing more of this card in Modern.
Wow.
Particularly this matchup is where it really shines. There's not a ton of decks where you're going to get a lot of hits on the high side with the Mindbender. Everybody's going to have something on the low side, but the 4+ card probably misses a good amount of time in Modern. That's why we don't see a main deck copy.
Yeah, this may be the only deck I think where you'll reliably hit 2 cards.
Yeah, there's some decks that play exactly 4, maybe 5 or 6 4-mana spells. Yeah, so strong Tron, and there's a couple other matchups where you want it. Something like Jeskai Nahiri, I'm sure I bring this card in. But
yeah, really. I mean, you do it against most of the big mana decks, so like a Valakut deck, you'd probably bring this in.
yeah, get the Primeval Titan,
Yeah.
and there's Summoning Trap.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you could get that too. I would have said their Scape Shift, but.
Sure, sure.
looking at the sideboards, so John Taylor's sideboard is pretty traditional. He's got Thragtusk, Nature's Claim, Warping Whale, Spellskite, Chasm, Ghost Quarter. He doesn't have much defense against this Mindbender, other than to just really do what Tron does. Assemble Tron and play, make an Ugin.
Yeah.
It won't matter if you do.
He wants to have Tron with backup ways to find Tron and or multiple Haymakers to hit. The Mindbender just took everything in that game. His hand won't always look like that. So he's hoping just for more redundancy on every axis if Mindbender is going to be cast against him.
The hits from Eldritch Moon keep on coming here at the Modern Open in Syracuse. Now, keep in mind, coming up, we have the next Grand Prix by Star City Games. That's Grand Prix Atlanta. It's October 7th through 9th, and it's going to be the next set. So the next release is Kaladesh. This is Kaladesh Limited. It is right after the pre-release. The pre-release. So we're encouraging everyone to register. Registration is now open over at starcitygames.com/GP Atlanta. This is the first major event after the release. I'll correct there. It's October 7th through 9th, and we have the exclusive Grand Prix playmat available to players, but it's only available if you register between now and Friday, September 9th. So you have about 2 weeks, but why wait there? It's going to be a great event. I think the limited Grand Prix right after the set release is some of my favorite events of the year. I usually try to make it out to those. Register now, starcitygames.com/GP Atlanta.
Yeah, when it comes to sealed deck, for a player like me, I don't keep up on sealed formats as it gets to week 3 or 4. And I'm mostly trying to just leverage my natural skills of evaluating cards. So like the week 1, week 2 sealed deck events are really where I would play sealed deck. So it does appeal to me, those early events. I like that a lot.
Yeah, we'll have more details about this event as it gets closer. Well, going back to the match, though, so now 1 game apiece between Maine and Taylor. We've seen Selfless Spirits. There's 1 Maine, 1 board out of Andrew Maine. So he has two of that and 2 Distended Mindbenders, so 4 cards from Eldritch Moon to upgrade his Abzan Company deck. So one of the things I really like about these company decks, whether it's standard or modern, is modern in some ways is the greatest hits of standard. And if you want to look at standard right now, standard's greatest hits are the company decks. So when we look at Abzan, this deck is still evolving. You look at Green Red Tron and you're thinking, it's not really adding too many different cards. It actually did a little bit back in Battle for Zendikar. But by and large, this deck is going to be what it is.
Yeah, occasionally there's some big mana thing. This weekend there was some question as to whether or not Tron might play a copy of Emrakul the Promise End.
Right. A great card. It's a big player in Standard right now. But that's more of a graveyard deck, it's like this control deck. If you just want the biggest punch right now, it's hard to beat Ulamog.
Yep. And the thing about Modern is the decks are so lean, frequently your opponent's not trying to get above 4 lands, so usually Ulamog is backbreaking enough.
But what I like though with the Abzan Company though is the deck just keeps evolving every time a set comes out.
Yep. Different, very efficient things to find with your company.
All right, Urza's Power Plant is the start for John Taylor. He will cast a Chromatic Sphere. Going back to Maine, we have a Birds of Paradise. I guess the first question will be, how good is John's hand? If John's hand is great, this is going to be a tough match for Andrew.
That seems to follow logically.
A turn 3 Karn, turn 4 Ugin, not much to be done. John will go ahead and crack the Sphere for green.
And I think mostly the games that Andrew runs away with, they're going to look a lot like that game too. His biggest hammer in this matchup is that Descended Mindbender. There are hands where he can make the fast combo. A lot of the time, those hands are going to be kind of weak to John's Pyroclasms, or at least John will be able to stop the combo from actually happening a lot of the time. And then John's able to build towards his Tron and actually start interacting in a big way.
Yeah, John Sylvan scries that turn for the mine, so now he's just missing the power to put together Tron, or the tower to put together Tron. Eternal Witness gets back Verdant Catacombs for Maine.
And Maine's been really aggressively casting Eternal Witness in this match from what we've seen.
Yeah, well, his deck doesn't have too much. It's not really doesn't have beaters on 3, right? It has these 4 Kitchen Finks, but that's about it. He's buying time. And hoping he doesn't die while he does.
Right. In particular, just anything on the table, if Maine has Distended Mindbender, is going to be great.
Pyroclasm from Taylor will sweep away Anders' creatures. A 2-for-1 of sorts.
Specifically, if Maine's third turn was going to be Distended Mindbender, sacrificing Eternal Witness, that Pyroclasm is huge.
Oh, yeah. There's the Catacombs he got back last turn. Maine will start to rebuild as a copy of Selfless Spirit. Can freely play into Pyroclasm from here. As we go to the 4th turn of John Taylor.
Now we're getting into perhaps Tron territory.
Yeah, he's 1 tower away. Well, here we go. Expedition map and crack for Taylor. He'll find the tower and play it. So Tron assembled. This one makes 3.
Andrew has 1 sideboard Fulminator Mage. That's going to be important here because Taylor had to tap down to set up Tron on this turn. If Maine is able to set that up, that could be a very big swing.
Does see if Taylor has anything he can do with that 3 mana. Maybe crack another map, play an Oblivion Stone. That would be the dream.
Yeah, that'd be strong.
But he'll pass. Maine gets a Overgrown Tomb. He gets ready to respond with his 4th turn.
Now, if Taylor doesn't have any of the lower casting cost spells in his deck, he doesn't have any 1-mana artifacts, any O-Stones he wants to cast, I'm kind of concerned about what's going to happen next turn and the turn after and the turn after.
So you mean if he didn't have the 3rd Tron piece in hand and doesn't have any cheap spells, you don't think his hand is just Grow Over the Burn Willows 2, 3, 4, and like maybe another mine?
I would count against it.
Yeah, me too. Andrew on his 4th turn. Horizon Canopy swings with Selfless Spirit. That's the first damage he's put onto John Taylor. John's now down to 18.
Beatdowns.
He'll say go, so strongly suggests Collected Company.
Yep. It looks like Taylor does have a few lands in hand, but it's not all lands.
Yeah, I think he has a copy of both Worldbreaker and Thragtusk available. So he will play another mine. That brings him up to 10 mana sources, only one of them green.
This is Ulamog. Might not be much game left to play.
It'll be Worldbreaker, leaving up 3 mana. Andrew gains a life off Grove. And he's just going to start exiling away some lands. There's a company here. Both players know it.
Yep.
Collected Company from Andrew Maine. Now the Plains is the target of the Worldbreaker. So let's see what Maine can get here. Malira and Wall of Roots are the finds off Collected Company. So Maine will put them into play, then the Plains gets exiled. So you go back to Maine.
Yeah, the Worldbreaker really didn't have an avenue to make Maine's mana non-functional, especially with the follow-up Canopy here.
Viscera Seer is in Andrew Maine's hand. If he has Sphinx to go with it, he has the combo.
Yep. Though in this matchup, again, it's about more than just gaining all the life. He has to deal all of the damage.
Right.
Tron not only has Karn to reset the game, but also you can just get milled by Ulamog.
So what will Maine do here? He's going to Distended Mindbender again. This card's just so good here.
Yes.
Wall of Roots, making a mana, plus 4 lands. That's 5, 6, 7 off the emerge from Wall of Roots.
So this is interesting here. Taylor exiled Plains with Worldbreaker. If he hit Overgrown Tomb, Maine wouldn't have double black on this turn unless Collected Company found Birds of Paradise.
You're right. Now, to be fair, the land in Andrew's hand was a Horizon Canopy, and that was played this turn. So John's not really working with perfect information here.
Sure, sure.
We look at the cards. It looks like we have a Karn, a Thragtusk, another Tron piece, and an Oblivion Stone. So, gosh, he's going to get the Stone and the Karn? Is that?
Yeah, this is a big swing.
How is that reasonable?
It's not. One other thing to say for John, this is definitely the first time he's playing against Distended Mindbender in Modern.
It is wrecking him in both games.
Yes.
Yeah,
that card's looking great.
Karn plus O-Stone out of Tron. This is not a game that I would have thought in the range of Obzon Company to be able to win. Not until Eldritch Moon.
Yeah. Yeah, Mindbender is looking fantastic.
Now keep in mind that 5-minute clock at the top of the screen is correct. And if you're... So both players will have to be aware of that. But, wow. So for John Taylor, he plays and cracks Expedition map and goes and gets a Sanctum of Ugin.
Yep, the map for not Eye of Ugin, as we are in the post-Eldrazi universe.
He can play it, but the only creature in his hand is Thragtusk. That one doesn't even crack the Sanctum.
It will make it so that when he finds a big colorless spell, he'll be able to find a second Haymaker to follow it up.
Yeah, unlike last game, the 5/5 is not going to be a lethal attacker.
Right.
Now it's on Andrew Maine to see if he can win the game, but I believe he has another Collected Company. He does. Yeah, and a Gavany Township. Maine should be able to start putting some combo pieces together.
Yeah. Taylor needs to find action on the top of his deck fast.
Here's Viscera Seer from Maine. So we see Viscera Seer and Malira. And Selfless Spirit as protection.
2/3 of a combo and a little bit of backup.
Yeah, I mean, an Ugin still solves everything.
Well, yeah, that's
just kind of how this works.
That's what Ugin do.
And John Taylor has about one turn here.
Ugin doesn't solve Distended Mindbender for multiple reasons.
No, that card is... Wow. Here's Chromatic Star. John's going to play and crack it. Green floating.
Hand's looking like 2 Tron pieces.
He's got more mana. He'll swing with Thragtusk. Yeah, and Andrew will he'll take. Sure.
Yeah.
Go to 11. Tron piece by Taylor, and here is the company.
Andrew is not losing this game in combat like that.
He's invited some company over, and yeah, there's a Kitchen Finks. That's going to do it.
Oh, yeah, this is going to set up the combo.
And then he's
going to
be
able to stack his deck, find Murderous Redcap, and end the game.
So, Kitchen Finks, Viscera Seer, Malira means that Andrew Maine can, as many times as he wants here, sacrifice the Kitchen Finks to Viscera Seer. It'll persist back without a -1/-1 counter. He'll gain 2 every time it happens, and he'll scry 1 every time it happens. So he'll gain an arbitrary amount of life. He's going to do this until he scries Murderous Redcap to the top of the deck, and then go and do the same thing with Murderous Redcap.
We see John here pretending that he has an action with the persist trigger on the stack, maybe stop Maine from going for it. That's the only line he has.
Not a bad bluff, but the problem is that Andrew can't really... He's not going to play around anything.
No.
It's not like Andrew can protect himself from any sort of interaction.
Yep, exactly.
If John has Surgical, Andrew will just kind of shrug and say, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yep, you got it.
And now we untap, and Andrew draws the Murderous Redcap, and now he goes for infinite damage at John. Same trick, but instead of Finks, it's Redcap, and the game and match goes to Obzon Company. Andrew Maine, you're pulling this one out, 31st on the leaderboard. He is making a run here.
It's a 2-1 win for Distended Mindbender.
Both games that card was the game.